Ziggy Boogie Duke. Ziggy Boogie Duke. Hello, welcome to this day's episode of Cup of Coffee with Scream.
I think I'm going to edit that part out. No, I'm going to leave that in so people can understand why by the time that we begin, I'm already flustered. Yes. For today's cup of coffee, we're going to be discussing something that there's been quite a few people that have reported on this lately with their different takes and stuff on it. So this comes from the Daily Mail, and from what I understand, this was who had the original interview on this information. And this is by Josh Boswell and April 7th of 2022. An article is entitled, "They woke up burned or injured. Top brain expert and CIA officer reveals hundreds of military servicemen suffered brain damage or symptoms of the mysterious Havana Syndrome and even death after encountering UFOs." So this is pretty serious stuff. It says that hundreds of military officers have had injuries, including brain damage and burns, after encounters with UFOs, a top brain expert and former CIA officer has revealed. Detroit professor Christopher Green was commissioned around 2010 by a secret $22 million defense program. It could have been any other thing but $22 million. Monitoring UFOs to write a paper on injuries from close encounters with anomalous craft. In an exclusive interview with DailyMail.com, the forensic neuroimaging expert who had worked with the CIA since the 1960s said he dealt with hundreds of patients, including Special Forces officers and other military personnel hurt after interacting with unidentified craft, some of whom later died.
Oh, wow.
And as far as the links on this, of course, the link will be in the description box. And some of the, different abbreviations for these agencies and stuff. I'm not even going to... Yeah, the alphabet folk. And it's like where they do that. And it's cumbersome. So I'm probably not going to use that many of them. You can go and read the full article. As far as Havana Syndrome, since they're going to talk about that quite often. Havana. It's not a cigar. Havana Syndrome is the mysterious illness that started in the U.S. Embassy in Cuba and causes memory and hearing loss. And the first cases affected personnel in 2016 at the U.S. Embassy in Cuba. And at least 200 cases around the government are now under investigation. People who are believed to have been affected have reported headaches, dizziness, and symptoms consistent with concussions, with some requiring months of medical treatment. Some have reported hearing a loud noise before the sudden onset of symptoms. And there were quite a few countries that this syndrome has been reported in. And the symptoms can include hearing loss, severe headaches, memory issues, dizziness, and brain injury.
Oh, shit.
So this is not just some little random something.
Yeah.
And I will say that I watched a compilation video last night that included other, TV personalities and such talking about this issue. And there was one individual in particular that was just horribly unprofessional. And like this woman, this smirking about all this stuff. And for people who have had UFO encounters and the serious, effects that those have caused, for these people to be balking and smirking and stuff is just egregious.
I mean, it's true. These people are talking about trauma.
Right.
So, like, how dare you laugh at trauma? Even if it seems so absurd, it's still trauma.
Well, this
to them.
woman was talking to somebody who was a professional type person, and first of all, she had this ridiculous pair of glasses on.
Did he
and
tell her off?
No, she sat there and smirked and acted like a total bitch all the way through there, even when he was talking about people being injured from this. And I'm thinking, you know what? You are a callous shit.
I would have been like, you know what? If you're going to smirk like that,
I'd have just walked
and
off.
whatever, this interview's done.
Right.
You lost your opportunity.
Absolutely.
Have a good day.
That needed to be just a mic drop right then. It's like, I want someone who is a professional reporter or, to do a professional interview. Other than that, don't waste my time.
Yeah.
Because I don't know where they get these people. There used to be such, a code of conduct. I was trained way back when in as far as journalism and stuff.
Yeah.
And it just, you don't. When someone is willing to take the time to sit down and explain their experience or their research or their findings or anything like that, they deserve to be heard.
Absolutely they do.
And treated with respect.
Yeah.
It just, as you can tell, it triggered me.
Triggered!
Oh my God, it's just,
fine.
well, it's just
not fine. It's just like, it's such bullshit. It really is.
And the bullshit needs to be called out.
Absolutely. That's why I don't know why people don't call it out more, especially when it is happening in real time.
Right. And it's like, it's time for people to stop being cowed and bullied by these idiots.
Yeah.
So who cares what an idiot has to say?
Yep.
At least we try to be respectful. We have fun with this stuff.
Unless you're on my TikTok live, then I'll shut you the fuck down. I will.
But when we realize when we're reporting on this stuff, these are incidents that have affected people's lives.
Yeah.
And that it bothered me greatly. It says an unclassified version of Dr. Green's paper that was titled Clinical Medical Acute and Subacute Field Effects on Human Dermal and Neurological Tissues was released last year under the Freedom of Information Act and describes symptoms of multiple sclerosis, brain damage, and burns sustained by patients from CE 3 and 5 events, which are close encounters of the third and fourth kind, an apparent reference to the interactions with and even abductions by UFOs.
Wow.
And it says the news comes after Congress approved funding in December for an official government UFO monitoring program, which will include an assessment of any health-related effects for individuals that have encountered an unidentified aerial phenomenon, which is the UAP. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I will ever remember to use that instead of UFO.
Oh, I won't.
It says a newly released report from a shadowy Pentagon program that closed in 2012 similarly revealed that U.S. intelligence officials have evidence that UFO sightings have led to adverse health effects like radiation burns, paralysis, and even brain damage. See, I don't find that amusing in the least.
That's
Dr. Green said
tragic.
That he became the go-to expert for military patients who had out-of-this-world experiences backed up by witnesses and radar data, including cases of big silent drones which hovered and moved in odd ways, showed emanations of funny lights, patterns, and strobes, and even cloaked or changed shape and instantaneously appeared and disappeared. This is why that seems interdimensional to me.
Yeah.
So, although his paper published March 2010 makes references to ETs and off-world exposures, Green told DailyMail.com that he was able to explain every injury he has treated by currently existing, albeit advanced, human technology. Now, that's what he's saying. We'll get to why he's saying that in just a moment.
Yeah.
The Wayne State School of Medicine professor said he believed some of the injuries he has seen arose from patients being too close to subtle, highly powered, highly modulated microwaves, and suggested in his study that soldiers could have been accidentally hit with powerful radio or electromagnetic frequencies from the propulsion systems of these strange, hovering, and rapidly moving aircraft. Yeah.
Damn.
In January, the CIA released a report from a panel of experts who analyzed 1,000 patients' cases and found 24 with injuries they believe could have been caused by pulsed electromagnetic waves from a device used by a hostile foreign power. Yeah. Or our own. We have found that out lots recently.
Yep.
It says, but Green's paper focused on cases of U.S. government and military personnel with similar injuries referred to him decades before Havana Syndrome was identified. The professor refused to discuss his 2009 DoD commissioned research paper in detailing, citing his oath to keep classified secrets.
Which
Now,
should be public anyway.
If the Department of the Defense commissions a research paper, now really, what do you think we're going to get?
Shit.
Yeah. And it says he added that his was one of 38 studies commissioned by the 22 million initiative called the Advanced Aerospace Weapon System Applications Program, overseen by the Defense Intelligence Agency from 2007 to 2012. And the doctor stated, I had said some things in the paper that they, the DIA, did not want me to say. The reason I was told was I refer to radio frequencies as having to do with alien spacecraft and UFOs.
Aliens.
I think that there are serious people in the Department of Defense who believe that some of the objects are identified as unidentified flying objects are real and are extraterrestrial. It's reasonable that reasonable people are concerned about that, end quote.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
See, I like the idea of aliens. I would freak out when I actually see
Right.
one. When I actually see one, because we know that it's coming.
Right. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. The former Assistant National Intelligence Officer for Science and Technology, who described himself as having been an intelligence officer for the government since 1969, said that as well as writing his 2010 study on injuries from UFOs, he also had for decades treated classified cases of soldiers injured in unexplained ways referred to him by government officials. Quote, because I'm a forensic neurologist and a brain imager, I'm the go-to physician in the Department of Defense for unexplained morbidity and mortality. I do look at injuries and mortality from unidentified UAPs. I keep on switching that. My client population is heavily within intelligence, Department of Defense, special forces, aerospace industry, people that work under contract for aerospace companies that get ill and they don't know why. What my cases are exposed to are things they see in daylight, with witnesses under battle conditions, in circumstances of tests and evaluation at advanced facilities, end quote. Green said that many of his patients experienced burns and brain damage from their encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena. He listed his patients' varied descriptions of getting up close to a big drone or silent drone or something even stranger. He says sometimes they hovered, sometimes they moved in odd ways. Some did show clear advanced cloaking. Some did show emanations, I don't know, I'm struggling with that word, of funny lights, patterns, and strobes. There are a lot of cases of things that instantaneously appear and instantaneously disappear.
Strobe says that's called club lights.
Yeah, really. There are a lot that will instantly disappear, then instantly appear close by, but in another angle of sight. In a blink of an eye, it will not appear to be directly ahead of you, but will appear to be 30 degrees to the right or 30 degrees to the left. Some of them
It's like that drug that makes you feel like you're 3 feet to the left.
Yeah, really. Yeah, really. Some of them did come close and make them become unconscious, and they woke up burned or injured, end quote. Green said around 1 in 10 of his patients died within 7 years of the reported encounter. A small percentage of the professor's patients even said they encountered something cloaked that was a human being.
Ooh.
He said that he was aware of injuries from encounters with UFOs near the White House. and over the Capitol Mall, though he said he had not personally treated any of those cases and declined to comment further.
Do you blame him?
No, I mean, you talk about some national security issues there.
Yeah.
Despite the strangeness of his patients' descriptions, Green said their injuries could all be explained by current human technology, including advanced microwave and radio frequency non-lethal weapons.
No.
Well, yes and no.
Modern technology cannot, get all that.
Oh, yes, they can. That for real. For real.
Really?
We have the technology. I was researching on this several months ago, and it just got so intense on some of these things that it was affecting me psychologically for real. So I had to put that aside for a minute. Because that was when we were digging into some really deep, dark stuff.
Deep, dark shit.
Yeah, really. It says, Green said, I don't have to invent aliens in order to explain the cases that I get. His 2010 study said that humans already had technology to use electromagnetic and radio waves as weapons, including devices to cause second-degree burns from up to hundreds of meters away, and the ability to cause frontal temporal headache, radio frequencies that disorient and destabilize muscular coordination, and even loss of consciousness, muscle spasms, muscle weakness from certain directed bursts of waves. It says the use of very high intensity RF, which is radio frequency, pulses at, for example, 915 megahertz, will cause an elevation in brain temperature of 8 degrees Celsius, resulting in petit mal or grand mal seizures after 1 minute of exposure, followed by 5 minutes of unconsciousness. So yes, isn't it lovely that we have governments that can cook somebody's brains? In fact, recently there have been reports of such weapons being used against people.
That's fucked up.
It is fucked up.
That's pure evil.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. And Green wrote that the injuries to humans from getting too close to UFOs could give clues as to how the strange craft work, including hypotheses about how they use electromagnetic fields for propulsion. Go ahead and finish your thought.
It reminds me of Halloween 3 with the masks, and the kids put the masks on and watch the TV, and it melts our heads.
Yeah.
That's what that reminds me of, except with no mask.
Right.
It's just the frequency alone.
But as far as using the TV, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've discussed such things in previous cults. Cults. It messes
Cult
with
cups.
me. That's exactly what it is. Green further states the purpose of this paper is to argue that data exists to reverse engineer propulsion systems of anomalous aerospace vehicles.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, reverse engineering UFOs is what he's saying.
Why can't we just get flying cars? Finally, how long? They have the technology for that. Why not give it to us now?
Because you act like they expect the population to be happy and successful. That is not the objective.
I would like to be floating around in UFO right now, my own personal UFO.
Anyhow, it says
put me in a dish.
Fling you like a frisbee?
Yeah.
It says one theory is that UFOs bend the fabric of space-time to allow them to defy gravity, and in doing so, turn the heat from their engines into high-energy microwaves or ultraviolet waves in a process called blue shifting.
Just stand in front of a microwave, stare into it.
Yeah, don't do that.
I do that quite often.
No, don't do that. Anyone who gets too close to those UFOs while their engines are on would be hit with a blast of radiation, scientists hypothesize. Green referenced to Cash Lundrum case in his study, where two women famously sued the U.S. government over illness resembling radiation exposure after allegedly encountering a diamond-shaped UFO on a Texas country road in 1980 that hovered in front of them, caused their car to heat up, and then escorted away by dozens of Chinook helicopters. The craft was taken away by the helicopters.
Yeah.
A disturbing UFO injury case was described in October of 2021 and a book co-authored by two of the program's managers. A 48-year-old biotechnologist, given the pseudonym Ron Becker by investigators, was driving with his daughter 50 miles southeast of Bend, Oregon in May 2005 when they saw 3 blue orbs flying about in a field 100 yards away. The father and the daughter had told investigators as they watched, the softball-sized orbs flew towards them and through their vehicle, one passing through Becker's arm and chest. In the days after, Becker felt dizzy and nauseous and began losing hair and started losing his sight and hearing. Blood tests over the next 2 years showed severe abnormalities, and he was diagnosed with a rare cancer in his chest. So whatever it was passed through him.
Yeah.
And pilots who witnessed the famous Tic Tac white oblong UFO flying around a U.S. aircraft carrier off the coast of San Diego were among those who suffered psychological effects. Well, of course they did. I mean, that's when you are truly faced with something that shakes your paradigm of, of reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll mess someone up completely.
It's brain breaking. And the UFO was recorded by Navy pilots in videos leaked in 2017 to the New York Times, sending shockwaves around the world. And in Revelations, the book Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, this includes the claim that Navy pilots who intercepted a UFO in 2004 flying at incredible speeds without any visible means of propulsion near the USS Nimitz had biological sequelae, which is a condition that's a consequence of a previous disease or injury. So basically, it causes it to exacerbate again.
Yeah.
And adverse psychological or medical effects. Now, think of this, that you've gotten over a disease or whatever, and that you have an event that causes the disease to reoccur. Now, in this book, the authors had said that HIPAA regulations for medical privacy prevented them from going into further detail. So that's, yeah.
Yeah.
The pilots themselves were in a very difficult position as far as reporting some of these things, because any adverse psychological or medical effects after UFO encounters would probably mean that their ability to fly would be revoked.
Right.
So if they can't fly and this is their job, and it says this outcome...
You don't fuck with someone's money.
Right. This outcome would be simply unacceptable to most Navy or Air Force pilots, because if for them to be decommissioned before their time of duty was out, then they lose as far as, their retirement, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of them doing that to people when they were just a few months away from finishing their service.
That's not cool. They literally screw those people over.
Absolutely. Well, when we've got reportedly 22 vets per day committing suicide, when we have vets in this country that are homeless, drug addicted, sitting incarcerated, yeah. Does that surprise anybody for real?
They need to be treated like royalty in a way.
They need to be treated as the warriors that they are.
Yeah.
And nobody deserves to be expendable people.
No, nobody is expendable.
The expendable people are the elite, and it's time that they understand that. Anyhow,
it's coming.
It's coming. And within this report, they had like a mini report, and it says only one of 144 reports of UFOs, or unidentified aerial phenomena as the government calls them, can be explained, while the others are barely classified. The government reports that there are 144 reported UFOs or UAPs between 2004 and 2021. Remember, this is reported ones. These reports include a spherical flying object buzzing over Navy warships and disappearing into the Pacific Ocean, a tic-tac shaped flying object mimicking Super Hornet pilots' maneuvers, and pyramid-shaped flying objects. The only one that can be explained with high confidence is a deflated balloon.
That's not possible.
Well, it was a weather balloon. Well, you know, people sort of freak out. Now, we understand that there are those shiny helium-filled balloons that can get up there and somebody's like, it's a UFO.
But even those, you can tell the difference between those and an actual UFO.
If it's at a certain height, and because you've got people that truly want to experience this phenomenon, and you have everybody with the ability to video things and put it on some form of social media.
Yeah, but the cameras that are on the phones now, they're really, really good.
Yeah.
And you can zoom in a lot and get the detail and figure out, oh, that's not an
Well,
aircraft.
some people can, some people can't. But because the reported UAPs showed unusual flight characteristics and displayed a range of appearances and behaviors, the report groups the UAPs into 5 categories. 1. Airborne clutter. These objects include birds, balloons, recreational unmanned aerial vehicles, which are UAVs, or airborne debris like plastic bags that muddle a scene and affect an operator's ability to identify true targets, such as enemy aircraft.
Do you ever feel like you're a plastic bag drifting through the wind?
Every day. So, you know, that's their classifications, which is pretty cool on this. 2, natural atmospheric phenomena, and that includes ice crystals, moisture, and thermal fluctuations that may register on some infrared and radar systems. 3, USG or U.S. industry developmental programs, and some UAP observations could be attributable to developments in classified programs by U.S. entities. The report states, we were able to confirm, however, that these systems accounted for we were unable to confirm, however, that these systems accounted for any of the UAP reports that they collected. So that one wasn't even. And then 4, foreign adversary systems. Some UAP may be technologies deployed by other nations or a non-governmental entity, but the report says the U.S. is unaware that any nation has technology that's being reported. Yeah, I buy that.
Yeah.
And number 5, a catch-all other bin. Most of the UAP described in the data set probably remain unidentified due to limited data or challenges to collection, processing, or analysis, and may require additional scientific knowledge and advances to categorize them. In other words, those are the ones that they truly don't know what they are.
Yeah.
And I think it was it Project Bluebeam that I have been expecting, which that is one of the great deceptions.
It's coming. It's closer than we know.
As far as alien invasion.
Yeah.
Now, you talk about total panic on this planet.
It's not just going to be alien invasion that they're going to be using. It's going to be like, oh, here's the actual
Saviors
coming
of the world.
Christ.
Mm-hmm. That's part of it. And these are interdimensional beings. I have been absolutely blown away at how accurate the Michael Heiser book, The Facade, has been.
The card game, the Illuminati card game. Yeah. Look at that.
Well, we may do a separate cup on that because I have been aware of it for several years, but I have not researched it yet. Mm-hmm. But for whatever reason,
I want a deck.
I know, but for some reason, the enemy has to disclose what it's doing.
He got
for
in trouble
those who have the ears to hear.
He got in trouble for releasing that game.
Well, I'm sure.
And what was the other game? But he got onto the CIA's list or whatever because of a previous game before that.
Sure. Because we have so many things right now, it's just, I think that people in our nation are understanding how much of a banana republic we have lived in for a very long time.
Yeah.
We have had the illusion of freedom, but now that illusion is being shattered. And God help us all.
It's being shattered left and right, and they are panicking right now because of how many people are actually waking up.
Right. And that is the thing. And that's like you were talking about, that one of the things they fear is
Collective consciousness.
the collective consciousness of sitting there going, we are many, you are few. And David Icke has said that for years.
Yeah.
He's saying it now.
But has he said that good will win in the end?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is choice. It truly is choice. It's individual choice. It is group choice. Those types of things. You know. And the thing, I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I'd rather go out fighting than to say, I never tried.
Right. Right. So, interesting stuff afoot at this point in time. It's going to get more interesting. The sources that I go by and have gone by since 2013 says that come this October, for about 6 months, that it's going to be intense. And he urged people to prepare now.
Yep.
And to truly prepare. That is not one of those put it off.
Stock up on canned foods.
Yeah. Yeah, they've already been going on about that stuff. And we're not talking go out here and panic like they did during the COOF thing, which was...
Gradually, collect.
I've been doing it for a couple of years. Yeah.
There's some stuff that we need to get rid of, though.
Well, that's the reason I tried to get things that were shelf stable for quite a few times, for, years ahead.
Yeah.
Certain things, like some canned tuna will last for about 4 years or so.
A can of tuna.
There's been people that they had opened and consumed, like MREs and stuff like that from World War II. They didn't die.
They didn't die, but they weren't good either.
Well, it doesn't matter. Let me tell you something. If you're hungry enough, what the taste of something, that doesn't matter anymore.
No, I think they got sick afterwards.
Well,
the ones
they
that I
didn't.
watched.
So, the ones I watched, they didn't. So, folks...
Stock up on the what? MREs?
Well, you can do that, but ramen noodles, for those of y'all that can do that, those things will last forever, for real.
Like camping cookware.
Yeah.
Get some camping cookware.
Yeah.
Learn how to start fires.
Well, as far as, to do that safely,
Learn how to filter your own water.
Yeah. For those of you that are in urban areas, you're going to have to make preparations differently than those of us in rural areas.
Mm-hmm.
Those of us in rural areas, this type of preparation is called getting ready for winter every year. We're used to it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's not that out of the ordinary.
No.
So that's what we got on this cup.
Yes.
And if you've had experiences with paranormal, supernatural encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, if someone that you know of has had any of these experiences, if you've got local, regional, family myths or legends, send us an email, cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com. Email address is there in the description box, so you don't have to try to remember all that.
Mm-hmm.
Know that you're loved. Know that you're appreciated. Know that this is a time, as far as forming, relationships, close friends, communities. This is a time not to be, don't try to go rogue on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And think that you can do some of this stuff on your own.
Oh, no.
Find a community of people where you all can help each other. That's important.
Yeah.
And if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, comment, and most of all, subscribe and click that notification button for daily notifications of our daily uploads. Thank you all, and have a good one.
And we'll see you on the next cup. Bye.
Bye.